Good day. Greetings to everyone, in particular to the candidate for the position of the judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich Liubchenko. Mr. Liubchenko is a member of the Central Election Commission of Ukraine, and he was admitted to the competition by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. The advisory group of experts is holding the meeting in full composition in order to interview that candidate, and the interview will be moderated by the Secretary of the AGA, Mr. Yaroslav Romaniuk, whom I pass the floor. Please, Yaroslav.
Дякую, пане голово. Павло Миколаївичу, ми вітаємо.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, dear colleagues, dear public, dear candidate. As the chairman has said, we have all 6 members of the AGE present at the interview. The chairman of the AGE, Mr. Alex Zalar, who is present online. And physically, we have in the whole AGE members Miss Hanna Sukhotska, Miss Marina Connor, Miss Natalia Kuznetsova, and Miss Oksana Vasilchenko. We also have present substitute members of the AGE, Thomas Griffith, Richard Barrett, Marek Zubik, Vasil Shakun, Volodymyr Kuzmenko, and me, the secretary of the AGE, Yaroslav Romaniuk. Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich, we had enough time to accumulate information and data about yourself. We're really grateful for your communication, for provision of the answers, respect to the inquiries and questions posed by our secretariat. And the goal of today's interview is to give you an opportunity to refute and clarify any doubts about your high moral qualities, according to our methodology. I also would like to state that today we don't take into consideration information and documents that you are ready to present for us today, but you haven't presented this information before, and we didn't have opportunity to study it. The same regards documents and information that we asked you to provide earlier, but you haven't done it. At the same time, if considered justified, the advisory group may allow an exceptions. I would like also to say that the interview is recorded and broadcast live at the AGE resources and at the website of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. I also draw attention of the AGE members and candidate to restriction concerning the use of sensitive data and information with restricted access during the live broadcast. So not to disclose the restricted sensitive data, we will discuss it without broadcasting live. Next, dear candidate, please pay attention that the interview lasts about 1 hour. The estimated time for your answer to a question is up to 3 minutes, so try to be concise and laconic. Some members of the AGE do not speak Ukrainian, they speak English, that's why. If you need, you can use the headset with simultaneous translation into Ukrainian. The blue light means that you are in Ukrainian channel. So if needed, please use it. At the end of the interview, you will be given the possibility for concluding remarks lasting up to 5 minutes. Now we're ready to start, and I pass the floor to the reporters, Ms. Sukhotska and Ms. Vasilchenko.
Thank you. Dear candidate, we try to clarify some answers you gave to us in your written answers. We noticed some discrepancies between income and expenses specified in the declaration. especially analysis of your declaration for 2016 and 2018 allow reaching a preliminary conclusion that there are discrepancies, as I said, in income and expenses as of the end of 2018. You admitted the significant discrepancies and indicated that in 2016 you made many mistakes when filling out declarations. You made many mistakes. There are questions. The amount of discrepancies, taking into account the adjusted indicators specified by you, is approximately 319,000 Ukrainian hryvnia. Do you confirm this amount and explain existing discrepancies between your income and expenses? It's the main question.
Good morning, dear experts and members of the AGE and their deputies. Yes, this mistake has been made in the declaration for 2016. I haven't reflected the funds that I have borrowed to my brother. He restituted this sum in 2017. The sum was $29,000, and this is the sum that was given back to me, and this discrepancy was compensated by this sum that I haven't mentioned in the declaration for 2016.
Inform us that it was only because you borrowed the money before and then the money was given back to you in the year. The discrepancy was based only on this sum.
Так, да.
Yes. So I gave these funds in 2012 and in 2017. So just the period between the years when I submitted declaration, my brother gave back me this sum. And as I haven't indicated it in the declaration for 2016, so this discrepancy arose.
And then we have more other questions concerning non-declaration of Alla Liubchenko as a family member. As of now, you are not in registered marriage, as we know. According to the extract from the decision of the Kiev District Court of Kharkiv, dated January 8, 2004, provided by you in response to the request of the AGE, your marriage with Alisa Liubchenko was dissolved.
Could I interrupt? Could I interrupt? Could we go off camera for a minute? I have a question to ask. Is that okay?
Okay.
Прошу припинити обмеження.
I ask to restrict the broadcasting live.
Thank you. Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich, then we are going to have a question about the declaration of your expenses and the close people. We mean the vehicles, the Toyota Land Cruiser car. The information we have allows us to say that you bought the Toyota Land Cruiser car in 2008 for the sum equivalent to $33,000. At the same time, the price for a car like that for the period when you bought this car was from $47,000 to $61,000, depending on the state of the cars. Don't you think that the value of your car was underestimated when you reflected it in the declaration? No, I don't think so, because this car was bought according to the market price, and I'm not sure where you took the estimated cost from. but I remember that the prices were completely different, from $30,000 to $35,000 in equivalent, and of course it depended on the state of the car. This car was sold by an enterprise which sells vehicles, and is your estimation done according to the official exchange rate? Actually, when we were deciding on the sale, we were relying on the commercial exchange rate, and if I'm not mistaken, we agreed on $32,500, and when we calculated the amount of money in hryvnias, I was issued a certificate. We went to the administration and registered the car. I had not particular, didn't have any particular relationship with the enterprise selling the cars. It was in Lutsk. So, stating that a price for this car could be 67,000, from 47 to 61,000. Maybe it was relevant to the new cars. I can agree that for this price you could buy a new car, but it is generally known that during the first 5 years the the state of cars deteriorate the most, and the car of 2008 that I bought in 2013 could really cost like that, and it was a market price. There were no double standards here. Nobody would give me any preferences in terms of the price. Okay, it's clear. Please do not exceed 3 minutes. Pavlo Mykolaievich, what other cars do you use? In the answers to the questions of the advisory group, I indicated that I do not use any other vehicles in according to the law on prevention of corruption. I periodically use the car which is owned by my ex-wife, Liubchenko Pavlo. She stays in Austria, and the car is in Kiev. In 2002, I joined the volunteer territorial defense battalion, and there was a need to be in mobile groups and go around the city with the ammunition, but it was only possible in the first half of the 2022. It was not recommended in the second half, and if we count starting from September, when we started working on the stationary position, I used the car for 10 or 15 times. The car which is owned by my ex-wife. But I didn't declare it because first I used it for less than 6 months, and second because she came for the new year, and she was using this car to go to her parents in Kirovohrad Oblast. So this car, I didn't have this car in the end of the year. In 2023, I also used this car because I had a need like that. I spent time on my post, and I was following the broadcast, and I made a conclusion that I have to declare it. I might have used it 30 times during the whole year, but I did use it over the year, and of course I will declare it for 2023. I will explain why we had this question, and of course it's good that in addition to your main job, you participate in the defense of territorial integrity and independence of Ukraine. We got information from the CEC that you provided information about 2 cars to enter the territory of the Central Electoral Commission, and in particular the Land Cruiser. I think we have legitimate doubts as to the declaration of these cars. We appreciate that you understand that this car should be declared because you use it, in particular when you go to the Central Electoral Commission. It's true that I submitted information about 2 cars because, as I said, I use the Toyota car, which I own. Sometimes my son also needs this car, and I also included the Honda for it to be able to enter the territory of the Central Election Commission. But I would like to say that during the year 2023, I didn't use this opportunity even once to use this car to get to the territory of CEC. I submitted the application to have the possibility to use this car to enter the territory, but I didn't use it. Some of the cars were taken from the CEC for the needs of the armed forces. Okay, we got it. The question was only about the declaration. I will continue, and we think there are other questions that require further qualification. In your dossier of a candidate to the post of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, there is information that you gave money to your children as a present, and it was in $70,000 to your son, and significant sum of dollars to your daughter. Did you conclude deeds? And because the Civil Code of Ukraine says that the gift which exceeds 50 untaxed minimums of incomes of citizens shall be executed in writing and shall be notarized. Yes, it is true, and I admit that from the civil law point of view, I indicated it in a wrong way because like taking $70,000 and giving it to children, it did not happen like that. I was respecting the requirements of the family code. I just didn't want to repeat the mistakes of my parents who lost their savings in 1990s in the Oshad Bank. The problems with banks started, and I decided to transfer to my children $70,000 US to each person for them to make a decision whether they will spend this money for the studies or to buy an apartment, just so that I don't lose them in the banking institutions. So it was not a gift in the meaning of the civil code. It was to support the children who were studying, and I was gradually transferring the money.
Dear candidate, we do not talk about legacy or non-legacy of these agreements. We talk about integrity. Integrity means your dedication, commitment, honesty, and commitment to follow the law when different agreements are stipulated. I understand it, yes, but these were not contracts of donation. I just answered the question incorrectly. Thank you. Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich, let's talk about the Unicredit Bank Austria for 17,563 euros. The account is on behalf of my youngest son, Vladislav. He submitted corresponding documents, and I planned it to give money not only to my older children but also to my youngest son. So I gradually give this money to him, and he puts them into the account in Austrian bank. So these are supportive funds to support him in Austria. Yes, these are to support him and to support his future education. I mean, is this systematic, just transfer transaction to this Austrian bank for your younger child? Well, I don't have opportunity to transfer these funds to bank. So when he came to Ukraine, I gave him cash, and when he returned to Austria, he put it into an account. It is clear. And now, does he use the support from Austrian state? He lives in the flat provided by the municipal authority. He pays, and the utilities are paid by my wife. Personally, he doesn't get any funds from the state, and my ex-wife, she provides for our son. Does he have the status of temporary assistance? Yes, he has such a document, and I declared this document in 2021. But he doesn't obtain any social support from Austria. He is 16 years old, so he cannot get social support. Only my ex-wife gets social support for her and for your son. Yes, I don't know this. I'm not aware of this information.
Now we have another question concerning your administrative responsibility. We have numerous facts of bringing you to the administrative responsibility. It was about 17 times over the past 3 years. As a candidate for the Constitutional Court, it seems a rather high number. Mostly for speeding, but there was also such violations as driving in the public transport lane and violation of stop rules. In your opinion, how acceptable in such conduct is in the society? Because we have to discuss also of, as we said, such a behavior of the candidate to the Constitutional Court. We are discussing on the rules of conduct of high morality, and how it is in your opinion. Does such number of violations show that you explicitly ignore rules of conduct? How you can explain this situation? Because they have a kind of systematic nature, the violation of these rules in your behavior.
As I have explained, the automobile, since the outbreak of pandemic, was transferred to my son, and he is the main user since 2020. Yes, more or less since that date. I used this car only a couple of times to go to the Kirovogradsk region to visit the cemetery where my parents are. So out of these fines, there is only one attributed to me for overspeeding. It was in 2022, when there were no signs where the settlement starts, where it finishes, and that's why there was overspeeding, and all the rest fines are of my son. He works in the National Agency on Corruption Prevention, and he informed his management about all these fines. I try to stick to traffic rules and not to violate them.
To inform us that when we received the information that there were 17 times only one was done by you and 16 by your son, you know, it is in the documentation we have here that it was 17 times concerning your behavior, not your son's behavior. And if you said that you had the car only for a couple of short period of time, and in that short period of time you did 17 times such how to say I don't know how to call the to such a behavior that you can be responsible administrative. So I think that is not a good sign for being a candidate for judge to the Constitutional Court. Yes, how is your opinion on it?
I agree that this is not a good sign to violate, to make such numerous violations. You know, when I prepared answer to you, this was the first time when I found out that there was these violations, but all it was related to overspeeding that is automatically fixed. I am the owner of this car, and when there is, I would say there is such a violation, and when there is bringing to administrative responsibility, they mention it's the owner of the car, not the driver.
It was your, how to say, fault, because you drive the car.
Miss Hanna, I explained to you that I wasn't driving the car. Since 2020, my son mainly uses this car. And all this overspeeding were done by him. I used the car and I violated it only one time. Your microphone, please, your microphone.
Information, because it was our, how to say, information we received concerning your behavior. So we put this question here, but we can go ahead with other questions. It's yours? Housing.
Дякую. Миколаївич,
Mr. Candidate, so we asked you questions about your registration in the dormitory of the National Academy named after Yaroslav Mudry. So tell us, please, why for many times you indicate that you lived in this dormitory, whether you used it. Tell us, please. Since 1990s, I mean more or less since 1997, I haven't used the dormitory room. Till 1997, I had used this room in the dormitory, and I lived there when my son was born. But since 1997, I'm just registered in this dormitory. I do not reside there, and I do not use this room. Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich, we are talking about it, and it is correct when a person with such a position has quite good remuneration. We said also about the fact that you gave some funds to your children, but we have a question: why you haven't bought any apartment for yourself, having such a financial opportunity? It wasn't my goal to buy an apartment or a house. That's why up to now I didn't have it. So just a year before, so the last year I inherited a type of housing. So it wasn't my priority. I will clarify my question. So you are registered in the dormitory, in the students' dormitory, still, in the dormitory, from the university named after Yaroslav Mudry. But you say that for a long period, since you are member of the Central Election Commission, but you live that you say that you live in the apartment in Ivasuka Avenue, owned by your daughter. Well, since the fact that it was said that now it's not constitutional to have this residential registration, but I can get registered only at the consent of the owner. So I didn't address my daughter, I didn't ask my daughter to get registered at this address. And that's why I thought that my registration in the dormitory is not considerable violation. So last year I was phoned and I was said that I can be dismissed from this registration without my presence, and maybe it has been done. I will find it out, and maybe I'm not registered at this address. Well, it's not about this fact. You declared the right of use of the dwelling that you haven't used. In my declaration, I said that it's not right of use, but other. And it was registration. So it was the goal not to use this dwelling, not to live there. But there is another substatement. It is written like other matters, and these other matters I inscribed that it was registration of the residing place. Thank you.
Different questions. You're traveling to Crimea. It is also one of the questions, because we receive photo when you are how to say on the picture after the annexation of Crimea by the Russian Federation, and we have some questions. Please explain us if you on the photo. We have here Sudak on the page of social media. If how you can explain us how often did you travel to Crimea after 2014, and do you have a property or some interest there? Why you did the travels to Crimea after annexation by Russia?
After 2014, after the annexation of Crimea, I haven't been to Crimea. This photo was posted in social media, but this photo was taken before the year 2014. Couple of years before, in a row, I went to my vacation near the city of Sudak. There is the Mount Karadakh. And we went to the summit of this mountain together with my children in a regular way. And during the celebration of the Flag Day of Ukraine, we went there, and these photos were taken before the 2014. After the year 2014, I have never been to the Crimea and to the Russian Federation.
I have no more questions.
Павло Миколаївич, у мене є.
Mr. Pavlo Mykolaievich, I have a question to you. Today we paid your attention to your neglection of the legislation about the form of the agreement on donation for the sum excessing more than 15 income rates. And there is another case. I would ask you to comment on it. According to our information, in 2020, you gave the loan to Petro and Svetlana Patrick for the $250,000 of USD, and agreements between physical entities on such sums, so it means that all the transactions should be done through the bank transfer. Why you didn't follow this requirement?
Ну, я не готовий відповісти на це.
I am not ready to answer this question because I don't know about such a requirement. I know about cashless operation when we acquire it. This is when there is exceed of more than 50,000 hryvnias, then these payments should be done cashless. So our concern is whether it wasn't the trial to avoid financial monitoring, because you had to undergo this monitoring in the bank to see whether the source of your income was legal. It wasn't my goal completely, and I understand. Okay. Then, what are the sources of origin of such remarkable sum? $250,000 of USA. This sum comprises my retribution, my salary, plus my savings that I had from the period 2016-2018. And what is your retribution rate? In different years, different one, but more than 2 million hryvnias. So you accumulated these $250,000 for which period of time? And you also donated some sums to your children. You gave cash to your children to Austria. Well, the fact is that the funds that I transferred to my children for their raising. So the question is, which period of accumulation of these funds was? I work since 2019, and during 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, all these funds that I have had plus my savings, all this together is this sum, $250,000. Okay, it's clear. Who are Petro and Svetlana Patrick? So are these your relatives, your friends, your acquaintances? Why do you borrow such a sum to them? These are my acquaintances. They are entrepreneurs. And they asked me a loan, and in return they gave me the building, the premises in Kyiv that costs more than this loan. That's why I gave this money. And also this agreement should be notarized, and you didn't follow it. No, I followed it. So we have a notarized agreement, and I haven't presented it at the inquiry for the AGE because I don't have this agreement with me. So when they just paid out all this loan, I'm really grateful to them. They paid all this sum during the war. Other people could say that the situation was difficult, etc., but they paid me off this sum, and they asked me to return him this agreement. They don't have a legal background, and I explained them, and the fact that they gave back this money to you, you reflected in your declaration. Yes, sure. I indicated it in my declaration because it decreased. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I would like only to add something to your question. That exactly, it's a very untypical situation that you gave such a huge of money, borrowed such a huge of money to entrepreneurs. I expected that they could borrow you such a sum, yes? Because what kind of entrepreneurs that they borrow money from you, and you are as a civil servant, yes, not entrepreneurial. It's a complicated situation, not clear for me.
Ну, мені не було потреби.
Well, I didn't have the need to borrow money from them, so I didn't do it. They asked me. They provided a reasoning, so I provided the sum for them. Are there any other questions? Yes. Pavlo Mykolaievich, of course, the position of a judge of Constitutional Court of Ukraine requires political neutrality. And we drew the attention of the group of experts to the fact that you had an active political life. Several times you were participating in competition to the position of a member of parliament from different political forces, and you were also nominated to this position from a political force. Do you think that you will stick to this principle of political neutrality, taking into account this active cooperation with political forces, political parties? I was never a member of a party. In 2014 or in 2019, I didn't become member of any political party. For the last 4 years, I have been performing my obligation as a member of State Electoral Commission, and according to the law, the member of a State Election Commission should be out of politics and demonstrate neutral attitude to all the political parties. So I fulfill the requirements of the law, and I don't have any relations with political parties, and I don't prioritize them in any situations that would compromise my objectivity. Thank you, I got the answer. Are there any other questions from the experts of the advisory group? No questions? In this case, we are ready to close this interview with Liubchenko Pavlo Mykolaievich. But before we announce the end of the interview, Pavlo Mykolaievich, you have 5 minutes for your concluding remarks. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Dear members of the advisory group of experts, dear substitute members, I was asked many questions. I couldn't answer some of them, but it's not because I was trying to conceal some information. It's because the events were happening 20 years ago or more, and remembering them is difficult. During my whole life, I tried to be honest, objective, not misuse my position, and I paid taxes from all the income I earned. I was always very critical to myself. I understand that I may have made mistakes during my life, but I hope that with my answers I managed to clarify the situation and probably disprove your doubts or confirm it. But only those who don't do anything don't make mistakes. As to my motivation for participation in this competition, actually, I have been dealing with the constitutional law for over 30 years, and the main emphasis in my dissertation is put on local self-governance. I have participated a lot in the work of the working groups as an expert support. I am also familiar with the work of the Constitutional Court. I prepared scientific conclusions at the request of the judges of Constitutional Court, and now as I work in the Central Electoral Commission, I understand the specifics of this work because it's a collegial body, and scientists are usually individuals who stand by their own position, and the work in this collegial collective body requires listening to the opinion of the colleagues and finding the most well-reasoned solutions. The work you conduct is very important, and I will be honest. By getting your questions, I first thought about biased attitude on behalf of the advisory group to me. Judging by the broadcast of other interviews, I understand that it's the attitude we presented to all the candidates. I understand the technical work conducted before, and I hope that thanks to your work, the Constitutional Court will improve its operation, because the importance of the Constitutional Court cannot be overestimated. It's probably the most important body in the checks and balances systems and in the system of ensuring the rights and freedoms of civilians, of citizens. I wish you success in your work. Thank you for the attention. Thank you, Pavlo Mykolaievich, for your answers. And now I am closing the interview with the candidate on the position of the judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Liubchenko Pavlo Mykolaievich.